Greetings, everyone. It is a pleasure to be a part of this very important Invest Jamaica conference. I am David Mullings, Chairman and CEO of Mahoe Capital Partners, and we'll be having a fireside chat with none other than Mr. Gassan Azan, who is Chairman and CEO of Megamart, among a number of other things. As we know, Jamaica presents an array of investment opportunities in agriculture, fresh produce, and agro-processing, and Mr. Azan has actually been investing in that space since 2019. So we want to speak with him to learn more about opportunities, challenges, and why he's so bullish on investing in agriculture and agribusiness in Jamaica. Welcome, Mr. Azan.
Thank you, David. Happy to be here.
I really appreciate that. You are very well known in the region, especially because of the success of Megamart, even despite the pandemic. One of the biggest questions that most people would want to ask, what are the major growth opportunities in agribusiness in Jamaica? We know that you've been developing your Lake Spend project, which is one of the largest in the region.
The genesis of Lake Spend was really because through Megamart, we realized we were losing a lot of sales from the unavailability of fresh produce and fruit throughout the year. So I started to realize that I think we needed to do backward integration and ensure that we're able to get all the produce on the shelf. Because if you're paying electricity for chill cases and freezer cases, to have them empty is really very bad business. You need to have those full of every variety that you can have available to the consumer. So that was the genesis of it. As we got into it, like any other business, there are pitfalls along the way, and you have to know how to navigate those pitfalls. We've actually engaged a study, and we now have over 200 small farmers who contract farm for us. And what that does is it guarantees them an income, no matter what, that they are able to bank on and get themselves financially independent. The idea is for everybody to benefit from this project, from small right up to large.
So I want to bring in the technology side. I remember attending a Denby event a few years ago. I went to a booth and they talked about low yields on our lands in Jamaica versus somewhere like Brazil that has larger farms or mechanized farming. I know that with Lake Spend, you're growing, especially some of the producers year-round, not seasonal. So this is fresh vegetables and produce. Obviously, local market and the tourism market wants these things. But you're using technology as well. They're bringing in foreign best practices. So where are you bringing those from? And how have you been integrating more of those things? Greenhouses, hydroponics. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so we originally, when we were looking at this project, we went to the Dominican Republic because they started their greenhouse programs maybe 20 years ago. And today they have something like 4,000 acres.
Wow.
Undercover. So, I think 4,000 acres. The truth is that what you want to, and our project is the biggest of its kind in Jamaica, and it's only 10 acres. So that's to put it in perspective, because it's an incubator. So when we saw it, we got introduced to the firm that is the pioneer in the Dominican Republic, and it was a Spanish company. When I linked up with them, I found out that, lo and behold, they had actually come here and gifted some small greenhouses years before to a few farmers here in Jamaica. And they were to have this program where they gave the support and all that. Anyway, the support fell apart after 6 months or whatever, and mainly because of information being twisted and not getting the right information. So they said, you know what, let's forget this program. But I met with one of the gentlemen because he actually taught ag science at Monroe College, where I went to school. his two sons went to Monroe College, and he had one of these greenhouses in St. Elizabeth. And I said, but this is phenomenal. No, it's only, his greenhouse was only 5,000 square foot. Each of my greenhouses are 55,000 square foot. So you can imagine the scale difference, eh? But the most gorgeous tomatoes and sweet peppers and all that were coming out of his greenhouse. And I said, my God, if I had all of this in my store, I'm going to get a premium price for it. And I'm also going to be able to sell it into the hotels and the villas, you know, because that's what they want, is this sort of thing. When we went to the Dominican Republic, one of the things that struck me was that they not only were fully self-sufficient for the population, but they also fully supplied the entire tourist sector.
Wow.
So nothing is imported. And they don't have import restrictions. They can import it, but they don't do it because it's available locally at a much lower cost. And so that is really what we're trying to accomplish, is to grow these things and make them premium products at a lower cost than imported. And the technology allows for that because, when you see the fans and the humidifiers and all this, it's creating the perfect growing environment, which is giving you the maximum yield inside these houses. And the yields are far greater than in the field.
No, that's excellent. And so I know with your greenhouses, you have temperature control, you have light control, and you have humidity control.
Yes.
I believe most of the greenhouses in Domrep only have one or two of those, but not necessarily all three. And yours is
not
fully computerized.
Right. Okay, so from the start of the project, the people from Spain came. We had to do water testing, soil testing, the whole 9 yards. And they went through that process. Then we gave them the lists of what we required for our stores, because remember, we're financing this project based on the fact that we have automatic sales. We don't need to go out and look for a market.
Right.
But we're lucky in that respect, eh? So from that, they then did all the testing of the soil, the water, and then they came up with this plan of how we would do a 10-acre incubator. And that would serve our needs plus about 50%.
Mm.
So basically, we already have outgrown what we have built, but it's been such a drain on the cash. And with the pandemic and the lockdowns, et cetera, we are actually about 24 months delayed. So we should have actually started a second incubator, if you want to call it that. But that'll happen by next year, I would imagine.
Okay, well, we're glad to know that you're moving forward. That, and the last time I checked, Jamaica was importing more than $850 million worth of food, a significant chunk of that for the tourism industry. So your entity, your goal is to drastically reduce that and replace a lot of those imports, correct?
Yeah, that's the idea.
All right. And then, so we know that there's been a big talk about organic products. I live in the United States. You go to certain stores, Whole Foods in particular, organic is a big thing. And I've always said to people that Jamaica makes sense, from an organic standpoint. So what do you believe are the opportunities for Jamaican agriculture to start focusing on certified organic products to export to markets like the US, Canada, and further?
The whole organic thing is dependent on the definition that you attach to it, David. You know that.
Right.
Jamaica, in of itself, is pretty much organic. Some places use a lot more pesticides than others, but for the most part, we are an organic destination. And we can be even more so on the specialty stuff. Where I see massive expansion is the yams and the like sweet potato and those type of products. We also have supermarkets down in the Dutch Caribbean. And every time I go down there, I get cussed off by the people because they're from Jamaica. Why don't bring some Jamaican products down here for us and blah, 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 blah. The truth is that there is a huge demand for all things Jamaican. And in fact, last week I got video. It's funny. In the Dom Rep, they don't eat ackee and they don't eat breadfruit. But they're planting orchards of breadfruit and ackee because of the demand for it in the United States. And it's Jamaicans who are buying this stuff in the United States. But you have serious business people there who, when they see an opportunity, they're jumping on it.
Jump on it.
I remember when we went to the trade show over there, we looked at booths, the agricultural trade show. We looked at booths that had pepper, and they called it Jamaican pepper. That was what they labeled Scotch bonnet pepper as, Jamaican pepper, being shipped to the United States. So you can't blame anybody for jumping on that bandwagon, because if you're not supplying it, somebody's going to supply it. Right now, I know a couple of people, and I think we ship maybe 3 to 4 containers of yam every week to the United States. You could ship 10. It is 3 or 4 is nothing to what could be shipped. You can't can enough callaloo or ackee to export it.
100% agree. So I love that, because you helped to answer the next question that I was going to ask is where do you have you seen success stories, and then where do you see additional opportunity? Where should investors be looking at? You just name some exact examples that they need to be focused on. And there's a clear market I would say the diaspora is a huge market that tends to be is being scratched. The surface of it is being scratched without a doubt.
As I said, we're really just sampling it. There was a store. I was in the United States for about 3 months last year in Miami because of recovering from COVID. And if you didn't get to the store, a Jamaican grocery shop, if you didn't get there before 11 o'clock, there wasn't a breadfruit to buy. So, I mean, what are you really telling me? And it's not like it's half a dozen people, it's hundreds of people, and you can't get a breadfruit to buy. So I know that the opportunities are there. It's just that for some reason, we have not been able to capitalize on them.
No, I appreciate that. So as we start wrapping up, I would want to ask a question around farming. Do you think that we've seen my generation and younger being less likely to get into farming because there's a stigma attached to it, and we need to work harder to change that?
Yes, there's definitely a stigma towards agriculture, and I now have a few youngsters from College of Agriculture and all that out there. And the plan is that this is going to be literally a university in of itself, because the technology that is being employed out here is not even being taught in the schools. One of the guys who are out there, he said, Mr. Azan, let me tell you something. What I learned here in the last few months, I wouldn't even dream of learning this. And he's very passionate about agriculture. He's a Monroe boy as well, and he's from St. Elizabeth. And that farming belt is so passionate about farming. The problem is that you get one bad weather spell and everybody gets disheartened. So when he saw the other day, we had some heavy rains here in Jamaica, and he said, my God, it didn't even affect the project one bit. It was like, boy, this is something really for the future.
This is different.
But it's not for the future. It's being done today, all over Europe for years, and all over the Caribbean and Central America. It's just Jamaica was left behind. Yeah. Well,
I'm glad you're bringing us into the now and the future.
It costing me a lot of money to do it.
Well, right. Well, ultimately, it's an investment, and we expect that you'll recoup. Hopefully, that the pandemic obviously slowed it down a bit. Well, you mentioned weather, and so I did want to ask a question, because I know somebody is going to ask. You have these, these greenhouses that are there. Heavy rains came, no damage. They've been in the dam for a number of years. So that means that they're fairly hurricane resistant. If they
Well, they are up to category 3.
Okay.
Once you go above category 3, you have to remove the mesh, the sheeting. You would lose the crop, but the frames would be fine, and you replant and put the shade back up, the plastic back on.
Okay, so now we know how you deal with that. And
yeah,
no, well, we genuinely appreciate this. I think a lot of people watching this have learned a tremendous amount about the opportunity in the region and what you're doing in Jamaica, what you have done so far. And again, thank you for being a leading light in showing that you don't have to just invest in the financial world or only be the distributor. You can actually go all the way down and be vertically integrated and bring.
Well, we do all of those. We're in the financial world too.
Exactly. And so I love that you do it both. You do agriculture and finance and get people to realize that don't just look at sexy finance. You should look at sexy agriculture. We can grow GDP. We can reduce our exports. And of course, we can export more from Jamaica that is top quality. So thank you very much. Any parting words you want to share with the audience, Mr. Azan?
No, I'd like to say, David, that I anticipate that our stores here will start to look like our stores outside of Jamaica within 12 months. And that's really a passion for me, to just see when you mentioned Whole Foods and all these kind of places. When you go into those stores and you see the quality of the produce that is available, you kind of cry when you come into our places, And the price you pay here is so much more. It makes no sense.
Well, I look forward to visiting and taking some pictures and posting as the transformation happens. Again, thank you very much, Mr. Azad, for what you're doing and for sharing your knowledge and experience with all the people in the audience. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right.